So I love Crysis 2, and I've long since lost count of how many times I've replayed it. I think that game is absolutely fantastic. So then I ended up playing Crysis 1 afterward. Let me just say right away that I enjoyed the first Crysis as well. Not as much as Crysis 2 though. I do think the sequel is the better game, and I'll talk about why in a moment. First off, the gameplay is largely the same in both games. Crysis 1 is also a first-person shooter with a similar arsenal. Here you play as Nomad, a US Special Forces lieutenant who is part of the Raptor team. The Raptor team is dropped on the Lingshan island to rescue a group of archaeologists from North Korean soldiers. The special thing about the Raptor team is that each member is in a nanosuit, a piece of new type of combat gear which allows you to jump high, hit hard, turn invisible, and breathe underwater. I love it. I really enjoy roaming around in a nanosuit. I also enjoy the Lingshan island. It's gorgeous. I feel like I'm on vacation in the tropics and it's glorious. The game is linear, but the mission areas are big enough to give the player multiple approaches to the target. You don't have to stick to the roads, you can go through the bushes or up the creek. You can enter through the main gate or go around and find a hole in the fence. I love this. I am all about freedom of strategy. There are even a few optional objectives along the way, which is nice because Crysis is otherwise a very straightforward shooter. There isn't anything to collect in the game world other than weapons and ammo. No XP or upgrades to be had. Even though you enter Lingshan Island as part of a team, you spend most of the game on your own. And even though you're wearing high-tech power armor, you still get taken out rather easily if you're not careful. Alerting an enemy base to your presence is not necessarily a good idea unless you've found a safe corner to retreat to. I find it better to move slowly, find cover, and carefully scan the environment before proceeding. This is actually something I really enjoy in a game. I'm the kind of person who loves sitting behind cover and observing the enemy's patrolling patterns while contemplating my next move. It's so relaxing, it's like meditation. One of my favorite things about the nanosuit is that you can breathe underwater. Crysis 2 didn't really offer that many opportunities for a swim. Crysis 1 does, and I really enjoy it. It's never obligatory, but it's there, and it can be a useful way to circumvent enemies if you don't feel like engaging them. I love that. Another thing, Crysis 1 has vehicles, including boats, and yeah, they can get you across the map faster, but the handling is clunky and driving basically alerts every enemy in the area. So you can drive, but I'm so excited that you don't have to if you don't feel like it. There's one mission where you're even given a tank, but you can totally leave it behind, and I usually do because I think it sucks. I don't know how to drive the damn thing. In conclusion, I absolutely love the gameplay. I think it's nicely balanced between challenging and rewarding. The problems start with the pacing. One of the many reasons why I love Crysis 2 is that it's brilliantly paced and the narrative is very cinematic, smooth, and exciting. The original Crysis feels, shall we say, uneven in comparison. You spend most of the game looking for scientists taken hostage by a North Korean general. Like, literally 6 out of the 10 missions you're just crawling through the jungle, sneaking into North Korean bases, looking for intel. Occasionally you witness something bizarre and the characters pause to ask what the heck was that, but normal life quickly resumes. It's a very long and very slow build-up. And if you're the kind of gamer who loves to have stuff happening, then this is probably not the game for you. The story has a super interesting premise, but its execution is imperfect, as all the best action is packed into the last third. You only get to the meat of the story toward the end, where all of a sudden a whole bunch of things emerge, and these guys are pretty heavy hitters. The difficulty goes up sharply, and we go from slow burn action to full panic mode. Now, this would be great if the ending was cool, but unfortunately that's not the case. The final battle is wonderfully epic, but then the game just ends in midair on a dissatisfying cliffhanger that doesn't get addressed even in the next game. Seriously, the ending of Crysis just left me so confused. It's not a natural conclusion at all. I was expecting something more to happen, but then the credits rolled and I was just like, wait, what? And Crysis 2 does not pick up from where this game left off. It picks up 3 years later and assumes the original Crysis was resolved, but doesn't tell us how. If you want answers, you have to buy a graphic novel called Crysis by Richard K. Morgan that picks up from where the game left off. I read it. It's actually a really well-written short story with beautiful artwork, and I'm glad I picked it up. But I'm not excited about the fact that I had to buy a book to find out how the game story ended. This is my biggest criticism of Crysis, and also the reason why I'm reluctant to recommend it to anyone. It's cool and fun to play if you like tropical islands and sneaking in the bushes, but it doesn't actually tell a satisfying story. I'd rather say skip this and go play Crysis 2 instead, because that game is way better balanced. Another smaller issue I have with Crysis is that the characters aren't particularly interesting. They're okay, but they're more like character types than people. You have the hero, the villain, the sidekick, the princess, the female scientist to rescue, the crazy old school general, and so on. The only genuinely interesting one is Prophet, who knows more than he's telling, and I'm just like, could I have less of this random babble and more time with Prophet, please? In comparison, every single character in Crysis 2 is phenomenally well written, with complex motives, and they're all absolute badasses. They're awesome. I love them. So yeah, Crysis 1 is a mixed bag. I personally enjoy its gameplay because I just love sneaking around in a nanosuit. I even platinumed this thing because I found it fun and doable. But the pacing is uneven, the characters bland, and the cliffhanger at the end is just... why? Why did you do this? I wanted to love you. Why did you make me read a book to find out what happened in the end? It's like going out to eat and getting served a huge starter salad, but only half of the main dish just before closing time. But that's just my opinion. Have you played any of the Crysis games? Which one is your favorite? Let me know in the comments below, and thank you for watching.